Hello, I'm Tom Terry. I'm the president of the board of Ocean Pines Association, and I was elected to the board in 2010.
Hello, I'm John McLaughlin. I'm vice president of the board, and I've been a member since 2008.
I'm Pete Gomsack, and I was elected to the board in 2009. I'm the treasurer of the organization, and so I'm in my second year on the board.
Hi, I'm Rick Handelman. I was appointed to the board by these gentlemen in 2010.
Hi, I'm Les Purcell. I'm the secretary of the board, and I'm serving my 4th term as we speak.
Hi, I'm Dave Stevens. I was re-elected for my 2nd term in 2010.
And I'm Ray Unger. This is my 2nd term on the board in Ocean Pines. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, trying to match
See, you're
with the
trying
dress.
to give me your glasses.
You can have this. I don't
Okay,
read anything.
let's take a look at the agenda here.
Just don't take my laptop, freshly made.
All right, boys, no passing papers in class.
We're just showing the
The love for each
high
other.
level of pleasure we all share for being here.
Yeah, they're all excited.
All right.
We're excited about Pete being here on time for 3 days in a row, okay? And for being mostly quiet yesterday, which was really an accomplishment, wasn't it, Les? That's right.
That's why we got out so early.
There's something to that.
Got out early. We got approval of minutes, county commissioner report, general manager report, update on the fire department, discussions. We have one CPI violation, right? That's one. Resolution update from Dave and company. Teresa's going to do a follow-up on the MediaCom meeting for everybody. Got an appointment to committees, public comment, press, adjourn. Any additions, changes to the agenda?
Negative. I make a motion to accept the...
Is there by acclamation approved?
Okay.
Okay. We'll move into
That's
public comment at this point.
Would there be an objection if I stand over here, because I can't do this without notes. We don't have a podium, so.
No, by all means, you have to stay back there.
Your notes can stay up here, though.
But inside the building.
Maybe.
Well, in November, there was some, I'm Norm Katz, and Holly Court. In November, there were some newspapers that had reported that our management was negotiating with the Ocean Pines Volunteer Fire Department. They were negotiating a new contract, is what we reported. And that prompted me to write a letter to the board in regard to that. And in fact, I wrote to other boards prior to you guys too. And now the agenda description, fire department negotiations update, leads me to come back here and really reveal that letter or refer to that letter. And the fact that the agenda says fire department negotiations update is really what concerns me. If it said EMS negotiations, I would be less concerned. Okay, but we have a contract with the Ocean Pines Volunteer Fire Department that goes back to 1973. In fact, it was reaffirmed in 1977 with some additional amendments. And that contract has been in place for decades now. It's not broken, and it doesn't need to be fixed. And the heart of that contract pertains to the funding of the Ocean Pines Volunteer Fire Department. In essence, the contract says that the Ocean Pines Volunteer Fire Department will formulate their budget, calculating all of its needs, which are not limited to payroll, maintenance, equipment, apparatus, reserves, and so on. And they will also look at all of their income, which is not limited to grants, endowments, fundraising, and their investments. If there's a demonstrated shortfall, okay, then Ocean Pines Association is contractually as well as morally obligated to make up that shortfall. That's pretty simple, and it's very equitable for all parties. And that contract has been in effect for 37 years. Now, the contract doesn't include the EMS. The EMS didn't exist in 1973. However, the EMS is an offshoot of the Ocean Ponds Volunteer Fire Department. So I suggest that the contract be amended to include the EMS, so the funding for the EMS will utilize the same equitable criteria that you use for the Ocean Ponds Volunteer Fire Department. And if for some reason that's not practical, or somebody objects to that, okay, then you should have a separate contract with EMS. Under no circumstances whatsoever should you be doing away with the current Ocean Ponds Volunteer Fire Department contract. And the reason for that is that the contract contains some very favorable safeguards for the Ocean Ponds property owners. The language is very precise, it's very explicit, and it prescribes that in the unlikely event that the fire department is dissolved or the contract is canceled by either party, okay, all equipment, all facilities, and all assets will revert back to the Ocean Ponds Association. And in that unlikely event, we can still maintain fire protection for Ocean Ponds. Okay? So that contract clause in itself dictates that we retain that current contract, not do a new contract. If the EMS is included in the Ocean Ponds Volunteer Fire Department contract by amendment, the same favorable safeguards for the Ocean Ponds property owner will also apply to the EMS as well, the apparatus, equipment, assets, and so on. Now, I don't want to put the words into anybody's mouth, but unless I misunderstood my discussions with Tom Terry and Bob Thompson, they essentially agree with me that we should retain that current contract. However, I don't know how the rest of you feel, and I don't know what you're going to be bringing up later on today. Okay, so this is really why I'm talking to you. But I do know that a new contract can jeopardize the safety of the Ocean Ponds property owners. I urge the board to keep that in mind and do an equitable funding, for the EMS. We have to do that, but continue to ensure the future protection for Ocean Ponds Association.
Norm, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Great. I hope I am. Thank you.
Certainly will.
It's the agenda item is an update on where we are. It's not a presentation of the new contract. We haven't rewritten the contract. Okay. Any other comments?
I'm Cheryl Mills. I'm on Section 6. I already expressed my concerns about this to Bob, but I'd like for the rest of the board to hear it. I'm concerned about the association thinking of setting up a pool management business. I'm not sure that that's really what homeowner associations are supposed to do. I don't know all the little legalities about homeowner associations, but I'm also concerned that there might be a tax problem. The IRS, I don't think, would be too happy about that. Or when they got through with us, we wouldn't be too happy about it.
Maybe a better way of putting it.
I want to bring something up, but I don't want to disturb any peace. But years ago, we bought that piece of land for the Veterans Memorial and everything is on. We give the library, I think, so a $1 contract on that land. But we give the post office, we make $800,000, I think so, $800,000 when we sold that land. I'm not sure what it was. Whatever happened to that money that was set on the side for special things? Am I wrong on that? If I may ask you that question.
Well, I'm not sure what the exact net number was.
Well, we had not $800 from the post office when we sold that land, and that was supposed to be set aside in a special fund if something happened, like when we built that new community hall. That's supposed to be money for the community hall, or what do you all did with that money?
I have to get back to you.
We'll have to look that up. And we'll get an
Well,
answer
I'd
from
like
you.
to ask that question.
What year would that have been?
Well, when we sold that land, if I'm right, okay, I think so we had $800,000. That
What
money-
year, what year?
Well, when the
I mean,
post
how long ago?
when the post office was built.
15,
I don't know if it's that long.
10 years.
Yeah, that's
20 years ago, maybe?
maybe 10, 15 years ago when we bought that land. There was $800,000 when we sold that land to the post office, and that went in a special fund. But I never heard anything more from there. See, when they wanted to build that $6 million community hall, you know, they came up with that $800 of 800, and that land was supposed to sell. Whatever happened to that money?
It was spent.
Let me,
Yeah,
Judge,
okay.
may I, Tom, may I?
Yeah, I'm just asking
I'll tell you
questions.
what, We'll get the answer to you, okay?
that's all
And that's
right.
a good question, but you're asking for something 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been part of the audited financial statements. It'll take a little digging back, and we'll get you an answer.
Okay,
Fair
thank
enough?
you.
Yeah, just, I want to apologize to Dutch. Dutch has asked me this question several times, and I told him I would get to Art. In the last 3 to 4 weeks, Dutch, though, we've been wrestling with the budget.
Yeah, I understand
It's not it's a question that I knew Art was not going to go back and research until we, you know,
Okay, thank
he's
you.
been working.
We'll get you the
He's been
answer.
working. But Dutch has brought it up and did ask me. You know.
Okay, all right.
And he put it back in the club buying beer.
Okay, that's the only thing I had.
Speaking of the budget,
Budget's actually not on the agenda here, but go right ahead.
this is public comments, and I'm not here as a member of the Budget and Finance Committee, Advisory Committee. I'm not here as a member of STOP. I'm just little old Marty Clark or Dr. No, whichever you want. But I also need,
I thought you were Brad Pitt according to your picture.
I also need, oh, thank you. I also need a crib sheet. It's my hope the board is going to ask, if they haven't, for the general manager to take his budget back and slash drastically. We're looking at a $379,890 increase, or $45 a member. If that's approved, our budget increase over the last 5 years is equal to 48%. Now, anybody that knows me knows I'm not computer literate. So
But you are calculator illiterate.
this is my, what do they call it? PowerPoint display. And we don't even have a easel.
Right there.
Oh, now that one won't work, I looked at it.
Oh, man.
Art will hold that if he doesn't mind. The good news is there has been some savings identified in the budget. There's $176,000 we're saving at the fire department, which is due primarily to the EMS insurance. And there's and I'm talking approximates here, $184,000 in savings in our golf operation over last year, thanks to the Casper outsourcing. So those two items alone are $360,000 improvement over last year's budget, or $42.59 per member. But we're going to have a $45 increase, 48%. Your taxes have gone up 8% in the same time frame, and your property value has gone down 30% in the same time frame. Now, where's all this money going? Next slide, please. Thank you. We have an addition in payroll costs of $97.22 per individual assessment. That's $820,709, 17% of payroll over last year. And that's using the budget general manager's number. By my math, it's closer to 900, but let's not quibble over hundreds of thousands when we're talking about 97.22 on the low side. We have an administration department increase of payroll of 118,000, reduces the bottom line, makes it worse, more in the red by 153. We have finance department, we added 43,000 in payroll, 47,000 deeper in debt. Public work or public relations, 19 more in payroll, 17 more in red. General maintenance, 25 in maintenance, 30 more in red. Public works, 25% increase, 139,000, 168 more in red. And I can go on, recreation department, we had 106 in payroll, we're 77,000 more in the red. This, the general manager, I agree, you know, you gotta spend money sometimes to make money. But what this shows us is we're spending money to lose money. All you have to do is read the budget book. I mean, the more you spend, the worse the bottom line. In departments where we reduce payroll, across the board, better bottom line. Go figure. So, if we just take those numbers, reserves, I don't want to spend a lot of time on reserves. Pete will correct me, I hope. I believe in replacement reserves. It looks to me, by my math, we're adding 177,300, 177,387 more than last year. That's $21 a member. Pretty aggressive, building up to where we're at the end of next year, we're at 4.8 million in the bank. The GM was to eliminate that 177, cut half the payroll. We're looking at a 69.58 reduction in assessment. A lot of people, some people say, it's not assessment, it's budget. Budget's not, you don't have any money to spend that didn't come from an assessment other than obviously the little bit of money that some of our amenities make and we get from the county. The majority of the money we spend comes from the membership. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Anybody else? Just a reminder, there is a public session this Saturday at 10 o'clock that is specifically focused on the budget, to walk through that. Okay?
I might take my show until there
You
too.
think, I had a feeling that that little chart might show up. Okay.
You did say that you're not representing the Budget and Finance Committee, right?
Absolutely not, I'm representing me. The Budget and Finance Committee, as I remember, asked for more money cuts in payroll than I just did.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, moving on to the minutes.
Any corrections?
Couple minor, no big deal.
The December 15th regular board meeting. Any adjustments, changes, anything major?
That's already been circulated.
Yeah, we've got it circulated already. I think we good?
Good by
Motion
me.
to approve?
Approved.
Second. All in favor? So done. Any changes to the closed meeting minutes? Circulated as well.
Motion to approve. Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. So moved. Okay. Moving right on. County Commissioner's report is somehow. Oh, by the way, you might want to, can we announce what those
Ms. Phillips isn't here, which is obvious missing point here today. She lost her brother last night.
Oh.
So, our condolences go out to her. For her concern, she actually didn't know that until early this morning when she was here. She got the call, so certainly wish her well.
I don't see it.
Well, she wouldn't. It would normally, she
It would
would
be in
take
the
care of that.
package,
but-
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that, okay, Phyllis is not here, we don't have her at this point, so.
I was going to say, no, I had copies of this report. I got here. Is it County Commissioner? I know it was here.
Yep.
Oh, we got it?
By the door, okay.
By the door? Okay.
Is this Jim Bunny?
No.
I'll try to hand you that.
No, Jim Bunting was the last one.
Oh, yeah. Time goes by so fast.
Much fun to be.
It's all one big,
Here you go, sir. Monty, you do fantastic work.
You gotta see me in pantyhose, bro.
Oh, God forbid. That would be seeing Pete in a Speedo.
Oh, dear God.
It's like having credit.
I gotta pick on you, Pete, because if I pick on me, it's insulting.
Allow me.
That steak break this week.
Since I'm just seeing this for the first time myself, I will leave this in your gentlemen's hands to read on your own. We'll move on
Anybody
to the
else need
general
one?
manager's report.
Will this be published on the webs? Because normally,
You can do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure, read it in the paper.
Well, what?
Sure.
All right.
Why not? Sure.
State
Okay.
budget's gonna
Ready
balance.
to blind me at this point?
They'll do it again this year. Robbing Peter to pay them.
So this is basically Judy's take, if I may, on the, just to give everybody else an idea who's not looking at it, on what's happening in the state budget review.
Same thing that happened last year.
Well, maybe.
No, they already said, they already told you that they do the same thing this year they did last year.
Okay, I'm sorry. They told Ray.
They
So
told me.
why am I reading it?
Senators bragging about it.
Okay, if anybody would like to know anything about it, email or call Ray Unger.
Thank you, David.
All right, Robert.
All right,
do we have a copy of your stuff, book?
no, I didn't get them printed on because it's being finished, as a matter of fact, 2 minutes
What
before
were
I
you
walked
working
out.
on the last few days, Bob?
Yeah, imagine. And I will have copies for you guys following.
May we have soft copies, please? They're in a computer, aren't they?
They're right here on my computer.
Okay,
yes,
if
sir.
they could be transmitted via those little things, the electrons, or whatever they call them, I don't know.
I just said paper.
All right, I will get copies. As you all know, we've been primarily budget, tied up in budget, as Mr. Stevens said in the last few weeks, but I do have a report to go over. The cafe, one of the things that's been asked about, what's that? Yeah, the cost associated with the cafe. Yeah, the actual, this is the cost that's in the actual expenditures that have been outlaid for the cafe, which has been asked for. We have those numbers. If you recall, we asked for 85,000, which was divided into half for cafe, half the other, but I'll show you it's not as relevant anymore because we've spent the money. Our labor costs, material costs, equipment costs, and furniture costs. Bottom line, that's how much we spent in total to get open. That's inclusive of the additional HVAC work and shoring up underneath. Okay?
That's
No, inclusive of. Remember, I asked for 85,000. The
Yeah.
cost is 50.
The labor cost, is that to do all that stuff?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's not,
That's all in.
yeah.
Capitalized.
Because we did all
Yeah.
everything in-house.
You made 35,000.
What's that?
You made 35,000.
Well, I didn't make 35. I just didn't spend. I didn't spend the
Help you out
35.
here, Bob, come on.
Yeah, I
You
asked for
suggesting we
85.
refund it to the members?
I asked for 85 in total, which included some of the work to do with the facility.
That's good.
We only ended up spending a total of 50.
So the facility work was what?
It's inclusive in the labor and materials.
Yeah, but
50.
the total is 50.
Yes. Labor cost.
But what I'm wondering is, like, how much roughly went towards the HVAC was one of them, and repairing
I didn't get all those
flooring
numbers.
or.
Were they taken care of?
Yeah, they're all inclusive in that. I didn't break all those
I think
down. Public Works,
You took care of everything that was intended to be taken care of,
yes,
including the items that David mentioned,
correct,
for a total cost of 49,000, not 80-some.
correct.
Okay.
I don't have a problem.
You made 35.
Well, I mean,
I understand
I
what
already
you're saying,
understood
Dave.
that very, very clearly. What I didn't understand, what I
Dave,
don't
to be
understand.
honest with you, just haven't had time to sit
I'd
down.
just like to know how much the Java Cafe cost. I mean, that's all. You were authorized for 40,000. Sounds like you might have spent less, but I don't know. You might have spent 1,000 on the. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Okay.
All I'm doing is asking for
I
the answer.
understand,
And I don't need it right now either.
Any other questions? I'll be happy to get that. I mean,
I think the point is, we
I got-
authorized $80+ thousand. $30-some-odd thousand was to go into hard cost. I mean, not
Half.
Yeah, half was supposed to go into maintenance and repair of the facility. You only spent $50,000 to get to where we are today to include that. I think it's a good slide.
And I'll be happy to get you a further breakdown on it.
So, Bob, may I just comment, because it's not on this particular, the $8,659, I believe, is our people from Public Works.
Yes, sir.
Who are deployed in this project. And guys, during the budget process, you all are wondering what that negative number is for capitalized labor. This is a good example of it, okay? This is taking our people on payroll. When they get utilized in a capital project, that capital project, and this is required by generally accepted accounting principles, has to be part of the capitalized project. So what happens is that gets cost, and it shows up as an asset on our books, and also in the particular department, it's a credit for capitalized labor. Okay, so we talked about that over the last couple of days. This is a real life example of it.
Well, Bob, before you move off of this, I think it's kind of like the obvious elephant in the room, but I'm going to say it anyway. Okay. This is a prime example of where Ocean Pines management and the team has done a fabulous job of watching our money, investing it appropriately, and getting it done under budget, on time. And you launched on the day you said you would launch, and I never thought you'd make it. You did, and all the rest, so I applaud you, and I'm sure the board does too, for getting this done, and everybody who worked with you. This is a great example of where we can do it right. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I was excited. Thank you.
You do have a picture of my chair in there.
I do. I made sure yours was in there. Okay, some more numbers, some updates, because we just got our December numbers in. These were the actuals, and they are in your detailed reports. We were actually budgeted for 3,700. The difference is 12,600. Now there is a big difference here because please understand, I'm not saying that we were budgeted to scale down in December. Okay, so I'm not saying it's all directly related, but I will say the majority is directly related to open for business.
That was budgeted for the yacht club.
Is that income?
This is, wait a minute,
Revenues?
say that one more, Rick?
That was budgeted for the yacht club.
Budgeted for this year should have been 3,700.
Income?
We actually,
Revenue.
Did you hear me, Tom? Revenues.
revenues to the yacht club.
Right, I
So
understand.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
16, this is a positive, guys, 16,000, budgeted 37, the positive of 12.
Gotcha.
Okay, December of '09, just to give you a little more information, was the actual number for December of '09 was 8,341 for December. So if you take the two, we are $8,000 above last year's number
Okay.
in revenues.
That's revenue. And that's the only thing we were asking. We didn't know whether you were talking cost or revenue.
I understand, I
Yeah,
said,
we're good.
and so it's in your report under the revenues, that's where it is.
Yeah.
So it's there. I quite frankly, guys, spent a lot of time trying to make sure I had all this for you today on top of all our budget numbers. So I could certainly spend another 2 or 3 hours and break down every detailed number, but it's in this report.
Those are totaling up all yacht club revenues, it has Java Cafe on the top, but it's all yacht club revenues for December, food and beverage and banquet.
Food and beverage only.
Food and beverage only, okay.
Yes, sir.
Food only, guys.
Food
It
only.
says food,
Oh, that's a better
On page 7 of your detailed
Food
report.
regular.
Food regular, $16,391 is what I'm reading in the reports that we all have. Okay?
food
I
regular.
guess I don't have that report yet, that's up in the front. Didn't pick it up there.
It would be in your slot.
It was in the slot last
It was
night.
in your mailbox.
Oh, okay, it was in the slot, I didn't get to my slot last night, that's
So this
okay.
is exclusive of, and that's a good question about the banquet, it's exclusive, or it does not include the banquet numbers.
Good.
Yeah, because it would have been an unfair comparison, so just regular
I think
food,
it's great.
okay?
Yep.
Java,
I'm sorry. Banquet, just for the record, banquet revenues in the month were $7,835, budgeted $260.
yes.
So no connection, but it's also very positive.
For a closed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, a couple of the other initiatives at Java Bay, we started our comment card program. to get feedback, to collect additional information from customers who want follow-up for promotions and send out specials. And the first 6.5 days, I passed the cards I'd show you guys, we had over 26 comment cards. Phenomenal, and they're the ones they actually fill out and drop them in the box. So we're very, very pleased with that. Other new program that we're offering there is our new rewards card program. It's one you see at most coffee houses. You buy X number of cups, in this case 7, you get the 8th one free. We think that's going to be a big hit. Those are pulling those, are very, very pleased with that. And then we talked about partnerships. We've added another partner to the mix. Those who have not tried the pies that are over there now, they are fantastic. We partner with a local bakery. The folks actually live in the Pines, but their place is in Berlin, and we're very, very pleased. So again, we're trying to continually make improvements, to everything we do. So we're trying to track it a little more, trying to do a little reach out and touch folks, and trying to make daily improvements.
And most everything they bake is organic.
Yes, it's all organic, and it's fantastic.
You're making me hungry. I'm gonna have to go there after the meeting there.
Perfect. I can hold the slide ready.
He's making a motion to adjourn.
I think he could have brought a few samples so we could judge for ourselves whether or not.
That's true. We'll bring the pie next time.
Bob,
Yes, sir.
do they have a wholesale license in the bakery? Because in order,
I'm assuming they do because they sell to other folks. I didn't go and look at it. I mean, if you want me to, I can. I don't
kind of their
not our
Their
issue.
business.
It's
They
their
sell to
business.
other.
I have another location for you later on.
Okay. What's that?
I got another location for you later on.
Okay. Aquatics, as you know, we have our new aquatics director, and we're very, very, very excited. He implemented a new initiative, and since January 1st, that new initiative has the result of 2,600 to the plus that we weren't expecting. That was offering a half-price winter membership. 15 memberships have already been sold. Attendance, we're also, and I mentioned this the other day to you guys, we're also doing an attendance tracking program to see how many guests or members are using our facilities. The only way we're going to see if we're making improvement, when you're looking at revenue, but also, how many folks are coming through and using it. That's going to help us manage that facility better. So we're real excited about where Aquatics is starting to stack up at this point. Public Works, you all know, with snow removal, they did another fantastic day. The folks worked on over the holiday to make sure our roads stay clear, and we had just numerous upon numerous of wonderful emails and follow-up. So I want to make sure I point that out to you guys in this meeting.
Bob, I'm sorry,
Yes.
one question on the snow. Obviously, that cost a lot more for that effort than we had in the budget for that.
Yes.
I think there's a rough estimate of what that cost us in a negative way. I was talking to Art Carmine yesterday about that. Is Art here?
Yeah.
And so we took a financial hit for that by how much? About $25,000-$30,000 something?
Yeah, 25, 30.
About $25,000-$30,000 negative impact on their results for January by virtue of that problem, the snow.
Negative to budget.
Negative to budget, correct.
We really didn't, after last year's snow, we really didn't budget more money. I thought we did, but.
I'm sorry, we can talk privately about how we budget for snow events, but,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we don't.
What month do you want to plug it in?
Don't budget for them, so if it
Well,
happens.
figure out what month to put it in.
For those that have
50-year event last year.
we're coming down to the end of the LEAF program. We have about 4 weeks to go. We have 2 crew. We had a little delay because of the snow, and just so everybody's aware of the fact, when we have the snow and we're preparing for it, the 2 of the vehicles that we use for leaf removal with the box in the back where they pulled it back get converted over either with snow plows or spreader or both, which then delays the program a little bit. But we're back full tilt. We have 2 crews that are out working today. They were out working yesterday and trying to clean up because there was some leaves that were raked up and they were still out there. But overall, it's worked out extremely positive for us this year. Marketing, I hope, but if you didn't, I brought the new newsletter. Did everybody get to see that yet? Okay, they were mailed out. I brought some for you folks. You'll see a very, very different look to the newsletter. We're very excited about it. Again, part of the, trying to positive impact. We've reformatted it, changed to color.
You got another one here somewhere?
Yeah, the mail already?
Yeah, they were mailed out, and some folks have gotten them, so. Full color, formatted, reformatted. We tried to do some highlighting of folks in the community. We really just changed this up. Again, it goes to the whole theme of open for business, quality of life, getting out in front of things, trying to, we want folks to, when we print these, we want people to use them. We want people to find, we'd like to have readership up. We'd like folks to actually get good information out of it. So, and we also had paid advertisements from local businesses to offset the printing costs by 100%. First time we've done that. So, again, I keep mentioning first time for this and that, but that's everything we're trying to do is make improvements. And some are going to be small, some will be bigger. Every day we're trying to make daily improvements. This is just another one that's come around.
Pete and Tom's pictures.
Yeah, I was going to ask why my picture wasn't in there, but actually it is.
Your picture is
in
in there.
there. It's, okay.
I said, we looked in the mirror lately.
Oh, the other thing on there, if you'll notice, it's on the back going green in the back middle. You can opt out of the newsletter. That was something that had been talked about, whether we stop sending, we don't. We made it simple. It's on the back of it. If someone decides they don't want the paper copy any longer, they can let us know and opt out, and they'll get an email of it.
And you get it online.
Yep, you can have it online, correct. Yes, sir.
What does this cost for postage?
$2,300.
For a yearly basis?
For each.
So we're paying about
$9,200 a year.
$9,200 a year. Okay. Talk to you later.
Okay. IT, we have meetings scheduled with UMES. They have, remember, I mentioned the one card program several times. We're going to go visit folks at UMES. They have what they call a Hawk card that their student use. Many colleges use that, but it's one card they can use as a debit to swipe for food, for activities, those type of things. We're looking how they're using their card. We've also set up a meeting next week, I believe is what's on the schedule, to go out and meet with the folks from the Columbia Association, which is, as you all know, the largest in Maryland, and talk about their programs and how they're using it. Again, why recreate or try to create something if someone already has it out there we can benchmark or learn from? So we're trying to do some additional research there. And integrating Casper Golf System, they've made some upgrades to their system, and they're in place now. And what's going to happen is we're going to look, we made sure, we have a card system now that we use. We'd like to expand on that. It's a swipe card system. Found out that the way they've set their system up, they took one of our sample cards with swipe, it will interface. So if we do end up going to a one card system, their readers will read that card as well. So we're trying to be ahead of it, hoping we can make the change. We don't have to cause a whole lot of disruption in any of our business activities. Okay?
Good.
Police Department, you guys heard a lot recently about those may have heard it in the news about the robberies, the armed robberies actually, of the taxi cabs. 2 arrests have just been made. So the guys worked very, very hard. The chief pointed out in the staff meeting, he had a couple calls from residents concerned why we didn't publish sooner. Ocean City had already identified one of the suspects, and it was an ongoing investigation, and we don't publish anything. And I just want to make sure everybody knows that. We don't talk about ongoing investigations until we've reached a point where
charges of me.
Yeah. Right. So, some folks were a little concerned at the speed at which that occurred. The result is what we're looking for. Speed at which it occurs is not. So the result is what we're,
And there's a very specific reason why, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so just so you all know, if you get calls or people are asking, they're doing a very good job with that.
The same two were involved in armed holdups in other areas.
Yes.
Too.
Bob, before you get off there.
Yes, sir.
Are there more accidents on the parkway now than before? I mean, I saw one the other day that I've never seen before. It was in the ditch around Seabreeze. Car went into the ditch. Do we have more speeding violations now than before? Or I'm just
John,
curious.
I don't know. It hasn't. It's the first time anybody has
I mean, there was a
We can
car in the
check.
ditch which I'd never seen, in a place. And I'm just
Yeah.
curious as to why. We've had a
Chief
couple of
hasn't
deaths.
Yes, Chief hasn't mentioned any increase, but I mean, I'd certainly ask him.
Now, John's question made me curious. Do we keep track of the?
I've got to tell you,
I would guess that we do, but I just.
I'm just curious.
He
because
does,
it's-
but I don't have that information.
No,
I'll find out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just
I mean,
curious.
I'm just curious.
Okay.
And these are not the places where we used to have them, like down there by the fire department where you have that, people complain about the curb. These are locations that,
We haven't had one of those in a long time now.
I can find.
knock on
Fixed
wood.
it the right way.
I can find out.
There's a car that I think flipped over. I think there was a car that flipped over
Okay.
in the ditch by Seabreeze, which is up by Windjammer.
Okay, by the numbers is where I break it down each month. I took some point of reference. I hope this slide is easier to read for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Is it much clearer than last month? Is it ready?
Yeah, I can read it, yeah.
You okay with that,
And I
Dave?
will get you all a copy of this.
Well, next
so-
time I'll bring my
My
binoculars.
comments until the end.
Yeah.
So,
How's that?
I'll bring my binoculars next
That's
time.
good.
I changed some formatting and stuff, hopefully to make it a little clearer for everybody.
Boy, we need more administrative departments.
We do, we do. You see our numbers across the top. I mean, admin, expenses, actuals, net, variance of 40. Public Works, variance of 27. Public Safety, 23. Rec and Parks, 82 above, which is good. Obviously, red is not so good. FYI. I'm just saying.
just for Marty's sake.
I just wanted to clarify for everyone in the room. Real happy with Aquatics, the increase there. Golf,
This is through December?
yes, through December.
Through December?
Yes,
Now, the beach club figures, that's it for the year, right?
yes, they're closed.
They're
There'll
closed.
be a little, yeah, there'll be, there's some utility costs
Yeah.
that will continue to occur
Some
there.
utilities and insurance.
So, but I mean, our net for the beach club was 84 grand this year.
No,
No.
we still have some insurance and utility costs.
It'll be close, it'll be
Yeah.
close,
Yeah.
is that your question?
It's a positive.
The two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So as of right now, we're in a positive of 109. And when I say positive, over what was budgeted. Actual over budgeted. And you guys will get this report. But all the numbers are in your in the report that you get every month.
Right.
Breaking it down even in greater detail.
Bob, if I may comment, again, I'm just looking at this. The Public Works part, in your books, in your director's financial package, are going to be 3 different departments, right? All right, it's general
Yeah.
maintenance, Public Works, and
CPI.
CPI. All 3 are rolled up into there. But I was just noticing, I mentioned earlier about the snow. The particular department where the excess costs incurred was in Public Works, and it, for the month of December, was $33,000 negative to its budget for that reason primarily, and it's $38,000 negative for the year. So of our $38,000 negative year-to-date variance in Public Works, $33,000 have occurred
In 1 month.
in 1 month principally because of the snow. They worked their tails off, overtime and all that stuff.
You guys will get, you'll get these. These are kind of a recap of your detailed report.
Good.
Any questions? Just kind of short and to the point.
Very nice.
Yes,
Yeah, good job, Bob.
thank you.
Nice report.
Short and sweet. Didn't realize you could make one so short, Bob.
Did everybody see the bottom? We're 109 positive the budget for year-to-date.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Is that or is that not less than the last time? I think we were more. In other words, it's declining.
It is less.
So what we'll see is,
Yeah,
at the end, it's a whole
It is
different story.
$35,000 less than we saw last month. Does that number ring a bell, 35,000?
Not really.
Think snow?
Well, I mean, yeah.
That's the sole reason.
There's always a budgeting issue versus an expenditure issue.
Hey, guys, and I did want to,
Since I bought the son of a bitch.
when if you don't mind, I was trying to get to that last slide. There is
Kids are
something.
passing notes again.
Yeah, there is something I'd like to read to you guys, because I thought was important, everybody hear it. This was in reference to our police department, and it was something that was, it goes to the testament of how good these folks really are. We've gotten a couple, I mean, I get emails all the time, and I will tell you, the vast majority have been very, very positive. But this one, sometimes they grab you, and I thought, you know what, let me make sure I bring this up at this meeting. And I just want to read it to you. It's not very long. Dear Chief Massey, I'm a senior citizen living in Ocean Pines. I needed to pick up my blood pressure medication this morning at Walgreens at Manklin Station. I decided I really needed this medication, so I ventured out this morning thinking that although I suffer from anxiety attacks, I needed to get there. Well, I was wrong. I left my residence and made it as far across from the fire station before I panicked and had to pull over. After sitting for about 20 minutes and wondering how on earth I was going to get home, a police van with Officer Todd and Officer Wharton pulled up and offered to assist me. I was dumbfounded. Not only did these kind, considerate gentlemen make sure I got my prescription, they saw me home. I've always taught my children and now my grandchildren that policemen and women were their best friends, and they were to be respected, if not awed. Well, I am now in awe of these finest examples of our force. Not only did they help me accomplish my mission, but they treated me with the utmost courtesy and respect, although I felt terribly guilty. OP Police Departments certainly have what to be proud of. These two fine gentlemen represent the best of what we have to offer for the citizens of Ocean Pines, and we should be profoundly grateful.
Yep.
I just, again, I think...
People need to hear these things.
They do. And I had similar types of things. I'll read one short one for you. I'm not trying to belabor the meetings, but I think these things are important for everybody to know. I woke, this was for Public Works. I woke on Sunday morning to see that our street was plowed snow-free. My husband said that they had been by with the plow once during the night also. I just want to write and say thank you to all the people involved in this effort. I'm just so impressed and grateful. Last year our service was just as wonderful. It is not as if we live in part of the state where it normally receives any real accumulations, and I truly expected little to no snow removal. However, I was very wrong. Please forward this to all and the people that worked so hard to keep, worked so hard and did such an outstanding job, and tell them they are appreciated. And these are just some recaps. I mean, I receive these types all the time. And we're trying to get the information out, but I think it's worth, you guys to know.
Ocean Pines was 2 days ahead of all the other communities around
Yeah.
here clearing the streets, including Ocean City and Berlin.
Not that we're perfect,
Plus the church.
but, we've got great departments working very, very hard, so I just want to make sure I share that.
Yeah, I wanted to point out a part of the newsletter. If you look inside the back cover, you'll see a new thing that's going on that they've started, which is also it means we're kind of a letter to the editor portion of the newsletter where people can write plus, negative, whatever. I just thought this was a really great addition to the newsletter. Opening up again for communication back and forth, and Bob, thanks for sharing those, because we as a board get to see some of them, but not all of them.
We get to see the negative ones, apparently. We don't get the, I suggested we have, sharing the positive with the directors, please.
By the way, you did say negative, so I see 3 positives.
Well,
for starters.
It's a start.
Well, but it's you made an important point. A selective negative.
Referring to the letter about the police department,
Yes,
we
sir.
have 2 police officers riding in the same van at the same time? Is that how we're doing it, or?
You know what, I'm not even going, I can't address that right now. I didn't go to find out what they were doing wrong.
Comment,
I didn't ask that they were doing anything wrong. I just asked
Point of order,
a
Mr.
simple
President.
question.
Point of order, Mr. President.
Moving on.
Yeah,
Point of order.
Point of order. Nope. Public comments.
This is the board, public comment section is over. Thank
To
you.
the end.
I apologize.
We'll shoot you later.
These meetings could take 5 hours if we did that.
I've already done that a couple times, didn't I?
Yeah, we've done.
Yeah, you know. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is an update from me. As part of the budgetary process, the Budget and Finance Committee received a write-up from me, as you did as well on the board, which was a explanation of where we are in the discussion, just so people understand when you say approval of formula. Here's the process that we're following between both organizations, the fire department and us. The approach we were taking is saying there are many revenue streams and many expenses that have to be put together. We have jointly worked to create a mutually developed, I'll call it formula, that allows for both sides to flourish and be funded effectively. As Ray said, I think people will be happy with where we're ending up with that. That has not been brought forward yet for a final vote, because we do need to have a session within the board, because it is it falls under the realm of contract negotiations, so that we can have that, and we will have that discussion. Going to schedule that for sometime next week for us to do that. But we have moved along very well. The schedule of this has taken a long time, a lot of thought on both sides to get us to where we are. We sat, the fire department and the Ocean Pine Budget and Finance Committee and members of our board sat in the same room last week and worked hand in hand without any conflict. So I'm happy to announce that to the public, that we're certainly moving in the right direction to support our fire department and all the work that they do, and I believe they feel the same way. You and I both have found that to be the case. So the details behind that, of course, we will initially discuss with legal, and then we will move forward with a meeting next week. Because those kinds of things are closed session until we can finalize it, make sure we're done. But we're very, very close to, so that's where we are on that. CGI violation. One?
We have one. There's a letter in your packet. It's a little different looking than what we usually get, and if you recall. Yeah, it's a memo from the Architectural Review Committee dated January 10th. You gentlemen have seen this violation multiple times. This was one that was sent back to ARC for another review. They met with the gentleman. These are the results. The conclusion, and they've included attachments just so everybody can see, where there apparently was a, dispute or question about the weight of the vehicle and those types of things. They actually did all their homework, and their final decision is the last paragraph. The decision of the Architectural Review Committee resulting from the second review remains the same as the first. The committee respectfully forwards its recommendation for the Board of Directors to authorize legal action. The next step would be to forward this to our attorney's office, and then they would send a legal letter to the individual, asking them to comply with the regulation.
Question?
Just a comment. I attended that meeting. I'm the liaison to the CPI group and ARC group, and there was a thorough discussion, and the gentleman had ample opportunity to present his case, and the committee did a good job in evaluating all the information, and a good dialogue occurred with the individual, and then they reached a conclusion following that. I think at our board meeting there was some question about whether or not he had ample opportunity and so forth. But let me assure you that he had every opportunity to present his case, present the facts, full discussion of it, and thus the conclusion.
Pete, since you were there, and Bob, let me ask a question. This discussion of item 4 states that the maximum payload is not relevant because DR specify a greater than limit, not a less than limit. Specified maximum payload is 3520.
I read that a couple of times.
I don't understand that piece of this. I've read it before. I don't understand that. I'm not saying we shouldn't do something. I just don't understand it.
I didn't print
Okay.
the guideline today. I mean, I assume the ARC, has a second look at it, they would know.
Okay.
Okay, a question, Bob, and
Yes.
I'm just looking at item 3. No vehicle with a load capacity, etc. But if I skip down there, it says, unless prior written approval. So in essence, I can have a vehicle greater than this parked on my property if I get permission from the Architectural Review Committee. Was that raised at the meeting, Pete? And
The answer is yes. Yeah, the answer is yes. And what it comes down to is it's more a visual impact than it is a weight impact. As was discussed at the meeting, in terms of the community and what we're trying to do is to preserve the appearance and protect neighbors. And in fact, a specific hypothetical was cited, might have been by me, that you could have a way overweight Volkswagen and it doesn't matter. Well, we're not concerned about weight, we're concerned about the appearance, but yet you have to have a certain method of determining what is or is not appropriate and what is or is not offensive to neighbors and so forth. And so, John, I would just suggest that if someone came in with a weight issue and not a visible issue, that the committee would undoubtedly grant an exception. Okay? Because it's all about appearances. Not as somebody, we don't care that your driveway is absorbing too much weight. What we care about is how it appears to the community and neighbors. So that they would, I'm sure, grant an exception in that case.
That's a key point because there are dozens and dozens of these vehicles all over Ocean Pines, and unless there's a specific complaint, we shouldn't have somebody going out and taking action against them. If there's something specific we got to deal with that, we do. There are just too many people that are self-employed.
Was there any specific complaint?
Yeah, actually, and there's always a history to these kinds of things. And there was a neighbor situation, and the neighbor took care of his, and so the answer is, I don't know all the whys and wherefores, but the answer is yes. There was something that provoked this particular looking at it. There was another neighbor that was involved in it. He took care of his problem, but the other guy. So the answer is there's always a story behind it.
Yeah.
This came before us before. The gentleman came in and spoke, as I remember. We said, did you take advantage of going to the meeting? He said he didn't. It was a
The question is, did he get notification? Was he aware of it? So forth and so on. That's all been cleared up.
They've redone their homework.
Exactly.
Back again. Do I hear a motion?
The one question, if I may follow up with my question, Dave. The one question I have is, okay, I can park my vehicle there if it's oversized, undersized, whatever the case may be, if in fact I try and hide it, i.e. put a fence around it or something, is that correct? Do we have a standard for that? So, I mean, I understand where Ray's coming from. There's a lot of vehicles out there, and if I'm a neighbor that decides to get pissed off at my neighbor and don't like his van in there, but it may have been there for 5 years. So
John,
how do we set that
let me direct
standard?
your attention to the last paragraph, second last paragraph in this particular, okay? And what it says is, and it's quoting various things, but it says, including volume in commercial trucks, the key sentence in here somewhere, I think. Oh, yeah, here it is. In lot or something, in such manner to be visible to the occupants of other lots in the section or subsection, or the users of any street, waterway, or golf course within the section.
Yeah.
So that language is there for a reason.
No, I know.
It's about visibility.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
So, but if I went out and bought one of these fences, lattice fence, and put it around my vehicle when I park it at night, is he in compliance? I'm just trying to figure out what,
That really looks dumb.
I agree.
The fence itself is probably not compliant.
We have rules about fences.
Well, I mean, do I cover it with a blue top at night?
That really looks bad
If
too.
you have a lot that's large enough, for example, where you can tuck it away and it's not visible, then it's,
Okay, I'm just
Okay.
curious. I
John,
mean,
you can do anything you want, but if I see it, I'm complaining.
I understand that, yeah.
do you get the Washington Post?
Dave, go
Yeah.
ahead.
You know the flack about the fence for the,
Yeah.
Dave, go ahead.
Okay, just, well, what I originally raised my hand for was that we had other papers with this, which I still have somewhere back
Pictures and everything.
in my pit. That's what I call it. That's where I throw all the papers. I can't go in there anymore. So refresh my memory. We're saying we're sending it to legal and just, what is that?
They send a letter.
And so we're going to send it to them, and next step is, you'll get a letter from our lawyer.
Right.
Correct.
A stern
Saying
letter
you're-
from our lawyer.
You're violating.
Please comply with violation from our attorney.
And as to the the other comments and John's questions and everything like that, after 3.5 years, every other meeting at least those kinds of things come up. And I mean, in my mind, the short answer is that we can't fix those on a case-by-case basis as they occur. If we want to do something about that, then we have to organize a committee, go back and relook at the whole thing. I don't know how to do that, by the way. I've mentioned this before. I don't know how to do it. But until then, we have a body that's specifically designated to give us those recommendations. And we have really, in my mind, no choice.
Oh, no, I agree, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm just, like you and like Ray has said many, many times, and I think Bonnie has said it too, that we got a lot of people who work out of their homes today with these vehicles. Some of them have smaller vehicles with big signs on them. They got vans, etc., that are just as, in the eyes of some beholders, just as bad, but they're in compliance.
We can only hope that the ARC is being fair and consistent.
I think they have been. I think they have been.
Then that's the best we can do.
Let me just do two quick responses and then I think we can move. But you can't codify every single instance. I mean, there has to be some discretion, some flexibility. So you can't write everything down in a rule. Now we have it. We've got 100% of the. You're always going to have the judgmental. Justice Brandeis, I believe it was, who had a rather famous quote in one of the Supreme Court. Was it Brandeis, Joe? Anyway. He said with regard to pornography, I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. And frankly, that comment came up in this meeting because they said, you know what? We know this, and we see it, and this is a violation. Okay, there's a judgmental aspect there. But the other thing that I thought was really significant was this. Once again, it raised the prospect, I think, John, of what you're suggesting, because of tradesmen and people who need vehicles and so forth, looking into an alternative location for them to have those vehicles is something that once again came up. Yeah. And so I think maybe that is something that we ought to be looking at to see if there is such an area. I don't know, I'm just reporting what occurred in the discussion at the meeting. Maybe a good idea, maybe a bad idea, but it was suggested once again in this particular instance that maybe we ought to take a look at that and see if it's feasible, that's all.
Okay. I have a motion.
I'll move. I didn't want to, but.
Motion to pass it on to legal.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So done. And Bob, we'll take a look to see if we can either find our version of a piece of property or someone else's. I mean, there may be a business opportunity for somebody to help store these, to offer a place to park these places.
I just don't know.
Not practical.
Not practical at all.
We never do. We don't want to
That means you gotta have two vehicles, one to drive that one over there, take all your tools out and bring them home, mate. It's not gonna practical.
Can't argue that one way or another. I'm just trying to help out
I know.
as best we can.
That's a really negative thing.
Really. Okay, resolution update.
Okay. I sent out by email, and hopefully everybody received the memo from John Trummel. Can we have a little order here, Mr. President?
Yeah, excuse me.
These kids, they're passing notes again.
They're passing notes again. All right, let's get to the business here.
Don't give me a timeout.
I'm not,
You're on the verge of it, okay.
if we may suspend the rules such that Jim Trummel
Yeah, absolutely.
can, actually give the summary report itself. And also, Jim, if you would, we didn't have a chance to talk back and forth, but we emailed back and forth on this. Any specific actions that you believe this board could take today, we can do a summary motion. I'm talking about some relatively straightforward things. So, Jim, if I can pass it off to you.
Jim, why don't you join? But, yeah, I'm already asking the same question as whether there's motionable action here.
As indicated, the written report's been distributed. There are copies over here as we came in. I'm also going to ask Teresa to post this report among the committee documents on the website. So I've resolved to try to keep these comments brief. I think you can categorize this report into 3 areas. One is an initial review of resolutions that began in 2008. Secondly, an identification of resolution opportunities, if you will. And thirdly, an ongoing resolution review. In 2008, there was begun what I think will refer to as a once-a-generation review of existing resolutions. At that time, there were 54 resolutions. You can go into the association website and see annual reports from the committee that have a little bit more detail on this review that was commenced in 2008. As of today, we're down to 35 resolutions in a book of resolutions, which is the current identification of resolutions. In addition, there are 5 administrative resolutions that date back to the 2008 timeframe that have not completed that review that was initiated. These resolutions are listed in the report, and they deal with facilities, rules, and guidelines. That's what we've grouped them as in our committee consideration. Those resolutions, the consideration of those resolutions was suspended in 2010 because of the board ongoing action regarding management of these facilities, the options for management of these facilities, and those decisions have been made. This is the golf course and food and beverage considerations. In our consideration of these resolutions, first of all, we've recommended recently that the group catering policy be canceled. Secondly, the remaining for a consideration to how to review and recommend to the board these resolutions is being considered to be similar to the M03 resolution that was approved by the board some time past, in which resolutions regarding recreation facilities, not the facilities we're talking about, was the various individual resolutions were canceled, and the general manager now has responsibility for the recreation facilities. A similar approach is certainly being considered by the committee. Whatever comes out of the committee, we expect it to at least be a more concise resolution or resolutions, if necessary, that eliminates a lot of the duplicated effort that currently exists, duplicate resolution provisions that currently exist, as well as try to make it a more passage of responsibility to the general manager. Second area is the possible area of resolution opportunity, if I can put it that way. There is a draft resolution from the committee to the general manager regarding manuals that exist within the
the association and the control and responsibility for those manuals. There are a number of manuals, such as the Financial Management and Procedures Manual, Employee Handbook, and so on, that are not presently specifically identified and control responsibilities identified, and the draft exists for the control of those manuals. Beyond that,
Let me ask a question just going on.
Sure.
That draft has been submitted to Bob.
That's correct.
Is there a timeline expectation of?
None has been established. Bob and I have talked about it, but the timeline has not been established. No.
All right.
The Resolution B01, Book of Resolutions, identifies, or not identifies, but has a provision in it regarding periodic review of resolutions. The committee has decided to define that review as being a 2-year interval, continuing 2-year interval from the date of the initial resolution release, or if it's been resolution has been amended, to be 2 years from the date of amendment. And we have crossed over into that 2-year interval, and we have begun to initiate that review. Where the resolution impacts the staff or committee action, it's being referred to that level. Where it involves board actions, it's being referred to the board liaison. Finally, in addition to the recommended change to, or not change, but cancellation of the group catering policy, there is a recommendation to the board regarding a change to the resolution C-08 involving the elections committee. Are there any other questions that I can answer?
But we approved the elections committee change.
No, you haven't.
I believe it.
No, it's not. It's been submitted, not been approved. Just submitted. No. There are two recommendations before the board. One is a recommendation revolving the board liaison, and secondly, a recommendation of canceling Resolution 2-025, the catering policy.
Right.
I don't know, is it appropriate at this time to continue on to that, or not?
I don't see, both of those. I think we've seen the liaison change to the elections committee, and basically that's what it gives Tom the flexibility to appoint whoever he thinks makes sense do it, as opposed to just the secretary. The secretary is still pretty heavily involved in the process, and none of that goes away. If unless anybody feels it's inappropriate, I would offer a motion to approve that change for that resolution. It's been hanging out there for a while, and it's not new.
I would second the motion.
So the bottom line is, what we're saying is, if the president is coming up for re-election, we do not want him or her to be the liaison to the election committee.
Yeah, or if the secretary is coming up for election.
Whoever's coming.
Whoever. So this is
someone who's not up for election.
Makes sense.
It says do what makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I've got a motion, a second. Any discussion? We've seen that.
Yeah, we've seen it.
Good job.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, the second thing that might be disposed of now, maybe not as the, going back to 02, that's the date, the group catering policy, April of 02. I mean, I read that, and it is so wildly. I said, we're still doing.
Where did that come from?
I mean, it, for example, specified 20% discounts to all of the any club that wants to use the yacht club. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, it's He's kind of funny.
It's laughable.
Yeah, well, maybe not so.
Well, I'm sure they had a good reason at the time, but.
Is there a delete button on that?
So,
We're gonna create
yes,
one.
we are the delete
We're
button.
the delete
and,
button.
And I would offer a motion. And again, all of these are going to be addressed, but they're going to be worked with the general manager. I mean, that's the general thing. So I would make a motion to rescind that, the group catering policy. And,
too.
Could I step in here for a minute?
Sure.
Number one, I did not, and I should have pointed out in the catering, when I communicated to the board a recommendation, there is in fact a document that I don't know if everybody's aware of. It's the club's Ocean Pines 2010 policy and catering information that does exist. I'm not, and that is fairly comprehensive with regard to catering. Secondly, again, I don't think we should be getting too far ahead of ourselves, or, excuse me, the board, I'm sorry. Because I've referred earlier, not in this context, to Resolution B01. The consideration of these changes is supposed to be an initial reading and a second reading in which the action is taken. Now, the change of the liaison's pretty easy, cut and dried.
We actually read that one already, so this was the second.
But when we go, not we, board, the intention is to make sure that these changes are given not just a quick consideration, but for comment literally to be made by the membership if the membership has comments. So I kind of personally, as a committee chairman and member, asking you to kind of, let's observe some of these provisions.
I would agree with, can I ask a question, Bob? Do you know if we're honoring the 20% to groups?
To my knowledge, we're not.
No, and as a matter of fact, there was, I can't remember what it was called. I want to say it's the Falls report, but when we had a company come in and do an audit review of practices, one of the things that report said was, one of the biggest problems they had in terms of revenue generation and losses was that policy and its use. But all I'm saying is that I think what Jim's. That's why we have Jim doing this job, because he's going to make us be careful about how to do this, and really appropriately so. However, I would point out, Jim, and I would defer to your recommendation, but 0225 is in fact not being followed. We're not recommending changing it. We're simply saying that given it's not only not being followed, but an inappropriate resolution, and you have sort of a de facto set of guidelines that are already being followed in its place. I don't see any harm in just rescinding it, are there?
All I can say is we do have a resolution that says we should be considering these on not simply, I'm going to say shotgun approach.
Oh, yeah.
Let's take a step back here. We're supposed to have 2 readings of these kinds of things, and we had the reading, we had the presentation of the original.
On the elections.
And this motion in essence was the second, and that's fine. What I'm going to try to do is treat this presentation as the first, keeping in records in the minutes that the suggestion to rescind this resolution has been put in front of us. For the next meeting we will put it on the agenda, and I would like to have a copy of that resolution distributed to everybody on the board prior to that meeting, so that we can be fully aware of of what is in there and what it is we're getting rid of. And then we can have, in essence, a second reading on that.
It was attached.
This is what we're getting rid
It's in there,
of.
you have it
Yeah.
now. Yes, right there, last page.
No, I printed this out at home.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, it's in the last page.
Yeah, so did I.
Good question.
That's why I.
Okay, so we have it.
Okay, would it be correct, Jim, to follow the policy that's been established, this could be considered the first reading and it can be brought up again next month, and then that would fall within the...
Okay.
If I may, I think Jim's cautionary comments are appropriate. And what you just suggested, I'm support of, that we have first reading now, treat it like any other resolution, rescission, and come back next month and do it. That way we're conforming with the way. One more month out of the many years that we've been not following it doesn't matter, right?
I would.
If we had a situation where harm was being done or something like that, where we needed to expedite a resolution, but this is not it. So why don't we just follow the normal rules, do it first reading, just what you
Dave, I
suggested.
need you to.
I take back my motion.
As we normally
But we do
discuss
need
these
first reading.
things, doing these first readings, I have a question, Jim. You mentioned the catering book. Do you know what the catering book says in regards to this? By any chance?
You have it there?
The discount's not addressed, but there are provisions regarding what I call estimates and how the,
Policies and it's procedures.
there is,
So
But
I
it's
guess-
silent on this particular matter, correct? It's silent on this particular matter.
which particular,
The
20%
The
discount.
20% discount.
it's silent on that.
It's silent,
Yes.
And
and has been for quite some time.
And I think the issue that you bring forward, though, is that those types of guidance are really in the purview of the general manager.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think, but I thoroughly support Jim, you're stepping in and saying, wait a minute, let's stay to the rules. and
Yep.
that's what we're gonna do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
He always made me do that.
that's okay, I
And
like that.
yeah, well, the other thing, just to note, is the committee is current. Oh, I'm sorry, not the manuals, but his sort of last paragraph, or next to last, which talked about periodic review of approved resolutions. And it kind of brings to mind some of the budget discussions, referring to buying new assets and having to depreciate them. Well, just like that, when you create these resolutions, they must be reviewed. So what we're talking about is reviewing the resolutions that we modified and approved when we started the whole resolution process. And I look at it as Rayco's revenge. See, 3 years ago, he started this process.
Yes, that's right.
And
where is he now?
now, well, Bill did a
good job.
large
Yeah.
amount of
He did a
the
good
work, the initial work, and kept it to it. But there's no underestimating the amount of work that it's taken, and also. Express our appreciation to Jim. It's
Yeah,
not
thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
This is tough work.
Jim and Jim only for the most part.
Glad you're there to do that. Teresa, MediaCom meeting follow-up.
Tom asked me to give an update on the MediaCom meeting and how we handled inquiries. I want to first thank Bill Straka, who was actually the chief engineer of the feedback, and what we did is we've done this 3 years in a row, and we put it out in the papers and communication that say if you have questions, email them to us, so we can kind of send them to MediaCom, but also so that we can respond back to those questions. And so it's a series of emails there, and I'll just tell you what they each are, and you can look at them, because some of them were to the board.
Okay.
And what he did is he separated those, and you'll see those, and I guess you guys can figure out how you want to address those. Questions for Dave King, those are all the questions that came in by the residents, and then their names are, all the names, emails there. And then the first page is actually an email where he sent everybody back the answers to the questions. We haven't received anybody that said they still didn't get any resolution. And then there was some people that were actually at the meeting that had issues, and the last email is a follow-up from Dave King's assistant that said she had taken care of most of them. There was a couple in there that wasn't, Tom, you were actually one of
I'm one of
the
them.
customers, and another one which we've since followed up. So, about where we're at now.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you. Now, this is, I think it's good when we have these kinds of sessions to have this kind of level of follow-up with the company that's doing it, saying, we'll get back to you. Well, in some ways, we put the weight of Ocean Pines behind the resident, saying, did you in fact get an answer from MediaCom? Did they come out and do what they said they were going to do? And you led that charge on our side, so thank you for that work. Any questions for anybody?
When does the contract expire with me?
That's a good question.
2 years.
It's,
No, it's longer than that, I think, 14 or 16?
It's 13 plus 5, it's 2018.
18, yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, since you asked, I wasn't even going to bring it up, but I just, it's in public, just to anybody who might see this that didn't see the last meeting. On the webpage, on our webpage, we have a document which is basically a history of the MediaCom contract, how we arrived here, how long it has to go, what are some of the difficulties that are involved, or how we would go through the process of making a change. And basically we put that there to try and have a general answer for everybody, one answer to what is probably the most asked question, I think, on a single topic since I've been on the board.
In perpetuity.
In perpetuity is the correct answer.
Unless they sell out.
Unless they sell out.
We buy it.
Well, it's an interesting,
No, there was, Comcast was going to buy them.
Only if
They
you,
buy their channels.
only if you,
Comcast was
Joe,
going to buy
only
that.
if you volunteer to run it.
excuse me. Rick, second question?
There is some competition now because you can get direct TV with local channels.
Sure.
So there is at least some semblance of some competition.
What?
Yeah, but the trees present a problem for a number of residents, including me. Yeah, there's a significant part of our community that because of the trees and location of them simply cannot. We used to have MediaCom back in Cincinnati. We ordered it and had it, they came out and they said, you can't do it.
That's just something else to point out. I don't know that it ever made the webpage or not, but the Communications Committee spent a large amount of time exploring the alternatives and laid out the technical issues that are involved in the pros and cons. I mean, they did a lot of work, and so again, people can refer to that. I mean, they have options.
Well,
Maybe.
I think it's, I guess the reason I wanted Teresa to present that is that so that the board and general public knows that we don't have any direct authority over MediaCom, but we certainly put our weight behind the follow-up to these meetings to make sure they got answers. Their answers were their own. Whether they were good or not, that was their answer, but at least we made sure they got answers. Okay, thank you, Teresa. Appointments to committee, I have 2 of them here, both of them to the Comprehensive Planning Committee.
Right, which is meeting tomorrow night, by the way. I was reminded, how time flies. I said, oh, that's not till the end of the month. I don't have to worry about it. A couple of things came up in between, but yeah, the comprehensive meets here in this room at 7 o'clock, and all public is invited.
And welcome.
We don't have a chair for the comprehensive planning committee. I tried to work that on one member last night, and it was kind of rebuffed. Thank you.
Followed under the category of inappropriate at that point, I think.
Might I make a motion that Mr. Mean Joe Green and Don Claggett be appointed?
Second?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Dave, you signed off on both of these.
And the reason you signed off, you answered the question because there is no chair and you're signing off.
No, well, I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah. Well, I signed off as liaison, but somebody.
How about the committee chair?
There is no committee.
Well, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
In the absence of a committee chair, you signed off.
The only thing I get, exactly.
Thank
That's
you.
the only reason. Yeah.
That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
And he put the word liaison next to his name.
I know.
You come to very technical,
But
I liked you better yesterday.
Not that we were.
By the way, Mr. President, it is never inappropriate to try and drag somebody on a committee at any time and any place. I mean, when the collection is being passed in church, that's a good time to do it.
For full disclosure here, what we're laughing about is the person that you were trying to drag into the chairmanship is the wife of the president, namely my wife.
Yeah. And if you had left me alone with her for a little while, I would have got her
It
too.
might be inappropriate for my wife to be the chairman of the Strategic Planning and Comprehensive Planning Committee.
But nice try.
Serve on there. Nice try, though, Dave. Nice try. But the board could outvote that. She'd have to go to work, I guess. Anyway, public comment. Wait a minute. Joe, you go first this time.
Yeah, I just want to say something about Mr. Norman Katz since he's here.
You were gonna say it? No.
I hope it's good, Joe.
Well, I don't know, Norm, we'll find out afterwards. Many of you on the board may not know Mr. Katz. Mr. Katz has been a longtime member of this community, served on the Budget and Finance Committee. He ran for the board once or twice, was not successful. I think he would have been a good addition to the board.
Yep.
But Norm Katz, you gentlemen have essentially, not concluded entirely, but this agreement to collect the insurance funds by the fire department and OPA sharing in that and so on. And so Norman Katz brought that issue up 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever it was.
That's correct.
So he was way ahead in his thinking there. But what I want to point out to you gentlemen, just for your information, is that when he brought that issue up initially, he was severely chastised, privately, publicly, just denigrated to no extent by the board of directors at the time.
That's right.
And now here we are full circle, and what Mr. Katz had proposed and was denigrated for has now happened. So Norman, I think you should feel some satisfaction in that, I hope.
I do, thank you.
One other thing,
Your
Norm.
position has been vindicated. And one final thing about Mr. Katz. Again, ahead of his time, when the legislature first started talking about passing slots legislation several years ago, Mr. Katz sent a letter to the board of directors and said, look, I don't want to get into an argument about whether we want slots or don't want slots, but I would suggest to the board of directors that we look at and pursue money from slots in the event that they are passed. And almost the exact same thing happened. He was ridiculed up one side and down the other. And Mr. Katz was also one of a relatively small group of people in the community, not the board of directors, but people in this community, who worked to get us the 10% that we have coming in. So thank you for your efforts, Norman.
Thank you, Joe.
I forgot something to say. I heard Bob reading the letter from the police department from the people. And I have to say, Bob, I got a good report too. You know, I do always a little bit for the Christmas program. They give me 15 bikes. And that went on in the program. I had a paper in the picture in the paper. And Thomas from the baker said, unfortunately, the lady wrote in the fire chief was supposed to be the chief of police. So if you see the chief, apologize to him. But I thank him for his help. That's I wanted to mention that.
Thank you.
Can I ask Bob that question now? That's my information. Is our police department running two men in a van at the same time, or?
I don't know
Just
what the
during snowstorms.
details of that particular event were. So I have to do the research
I'm
to
not
get it.
talking that-
It's not, let me finish, it's not common practice for us to have our guys riding, or our police force riding too, but I can certainly follow up with the police chief and see what his
Just answered my
policy
question.
is.
That's not common practice.
Yeah, I just can't answer to.
Norm, when we get a new person come on board, they do ride double for a while until they get to learn the community.
That makes
And
sense.
that could have been what
It's a
happened
snowy,
there.
rainy day, I mean.
Yeah, and that particular day was snowing and all kinds of stuff, so
It's not common practice. That's
it's not the policy.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Oh, I'll second that.
He beat you to it, right?
I know.
All in favor?
Forgot about the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Take care of
I take it back.
Questions from the press?
I take it back.
We done?
No, I hold it back. We didn't follow the agenda. We didn't take questions from the press.
Questions from the press?
Do we have any questions from the press?
Not for me.
See, that's what happens when Ray doesn't get to make the motion.
I know. God, I blew it. Never again.
Now I make the request.
Now adjourn.
And